A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. All right, so let's get straight to it. So first we're going to go into the Arabiya in this part 3 of the presentation in terms of does the Quran support the flat earthers theory, which is a continuation of part 2. In this particular ayat, it's in the 27th surah of the Holy Quran, the 88th verse. Now I'm going to read the translation. And again, as I said in the second part of this presentation, instead translators often put their ideas into their translation. But when you read it in the Arabiya, you're going to see something totally different. And Al-Bilal said that really to understand the Quran, you have to read it in its Arabic. Or as we, as it's probably said Arabiya, but we say Arabic. So the translator says, and you see the mountains, thinking them rigid, while they will pass as the passing of clouds. So this translator says that the mountains will pass as the passing of clouds. But when you read the Arabic, it does not say that. Arabic is a very clear language. It says what tara, which means and you see al-jibal, the mountain. Tahassabaha. Tahassabaha means that you think it jamidat. Jamidat means it's still. You think it jamidat. You think it's still. Now, this is Arabiya. Wahiya. Hiya means it is. Currently, it is. Tamur. Tamur. So, tamuru means it is currently passing. It didn't say it will pass. In the Arabic language, if you're saying something in the future, you would say yakun or kun. Like yakun or kun, that it be or will be. Or you'll say, with this construction, it would be something like yastamuru. Yastamuru. So yastamur means in the future, it will pass. And you wouldn't have hiya, which means it is. So the fact that it says wahiya tamur. Wahiya tamur mara. So what it's saying literally, it is passing past. It is passing past as-sahabi. It is passing past the clouds. So Allah says in the Quran that you think the mountains are still. You look at the mountains, you think it's still. But it is passing past the clouds. Aren't the mountains connected to the earth? So if the mountains are connected to the earth and it is passing past the clouds, that tells you that the earth is spinning. That the earth is spinning, that the earth is moving, because it is passing past the clouds. But the translators will say, because they believe, obviously this translator believes that the earth is still, so it says it will pass like the clouds, but that's not what it says. In the Arabic language, if it was like the clouds, it would say ka, or would say kamithal, or mathal. All of these means like, but that's not what it says. It clearly says that the mountains are passing past the clouds. The earth is moving. So let's get into some demonstrations as I did in my last presentation. And there was a response to my part 2, as I said. And he didn't respond to the Arabiya at all, except to use the word flow to justify his theory that the earth is flat. But this same presenter says that, again, he says that he doesn't believe that you should, that the Quran is basically, to sum it up, he doesn't believe the Quran is sufficient to use. He would rather use logic. And he cites a Wikipedia source. So he has more trust in a Wikipedia source than he has in using the Quran to support his flat earth theory. However, the Quran does not support a flat earth. It says that the earth is moving. Flat earthers don't believe the earth is moving. The Quran says the sun is still, as I quoted in my second presentation. Flat earthers believe the sun is moving. We're going to get into some demonstrative science now. And those of you who've seen the presentation I just did a few minutes ago, I had to remove it because it was blurry and the transmission was not good at all. So let me do this again. So here you have a flat surface. And let's say that the sun and moon are moving around the planet. Now, as you look up at night or in the day, you can see the moon out there at a certain height. The moon is there. But with the sun, you see something different. The sun rises and declines. Now the Holy Quran discusses that too in the Surah Al-Kahf. It talks about how you see the sun rising on the right, crossing past the opening, and then setting on your left. And the Quran says that is a sign from Allah. That's really all you need to know to show that the earth is flat. There's no way the sun can rise and set if the earth was flat. Excuse me. The fact that the sun rises and sets proves that the earth is round. And what I meant to say, that's all you need to know to prove that the earth is round. So you look at this globe right here, and let's use our finger, and let's say we are here in Asia. So now we're going to go to the dark part of the earth. We spun backwards. We're on the dark part of the earth. But as we turn towards the sun, because the sun is still, then it will appear to rise in our sight. As you can see, this light appears to rise in our sight. But then as we go around back towards away from the sun, the dark side, it will appear to fall in our sight. So if you're coming from this direction towards the light, the sun is rising in our sight, and then as you go away, it appears to decline. But it rises someplace else. This can only happen if the earth is round and the earth is spinning. The other thing is that flat earthers say that it is NASA dumbing down the people, as if NASA came up with this concept that the earth was round. The Muslims have used spherical trigonometry to navigate the globe. Spherical trigonometry that's based on the calculation of a sphere. If the earth was flat, the Muslim sailors would be lost. They use this instrument here called the astrolabe, which is said to be the world's first computer, and is my favorite artifact. I generally, when I go to Chicago, I go to the Adler Planetarium because they have the largest collection of astrolabes. And this astrolabe calculates spherical trigonometry. And again, you couldn't navigate the earth with that trigonometry because it will be way off on a flat earth. This was inspired by the Holy Quran because it says in the Holy Quran that wherever you are, turn your faces towards the Kaaba. So the Muslims had to use spherical trigonometry to figure out where the Kaaba was. And their calculations was correct. There's no way they could have exact measurements of distance, space, and time if the earth was flat. And these calculations can be used right now, today, which proves that the earth is a sphere. So, in demonstrating that, it shows you that this concept goes way before NASA was even a thought or even was born. The other argument that the flat earthers use, which really supports that the earth is actually a sphere, they say that if you have a compass, that the only way the compass could work is if you lay it flat. Now, that does not speak to whether the earth is flat or not. That speaks to the way the compass is built. It's the way the compass is built that you have to lay it flat in order for it to work. But if you notice a compass, it does two things. It spins. The dial spins. This particular compass, the surface is the compass itself. So the surface spins, but if you notice, every single compass seesaws. It seesaws. That right there proves that the earth is round. The fact that the compass have to seesaw towards the magnetic north means that it's going upward. If the earth was flat, the compass would be built only to spin. But the fact that the compass is built to seesaw, it has to go upward, shows you that the earth is at an arch. So the rising setting of the sun, the way the compass acts, this is clear that the earth is round, that it is a sphere. The other thing that flat earthers, say that their North Pole is in the center of their flat earth map, and the South Pole is in the outer edges. Anybody that knows anything about the magnetic field of the earth, you would know that that would not make for good polarity. Let me raise these books before you. Excuse me. To show you something about polarity. If the earth was flat and the two poles were across from each other like so, as you can see, it would cause a movement this way because of polarity. Polarity causes things to move. You can't get good polarity this way. But if you put these on top of each other, you have the type of polarity you need. A strong polarity, that which actually will cause the earth to spin because of the nature of magnetism. Now, this model, which is built off the principles of the magnetic field of the earth, right here, this is not magic. This is actually mathematics. And you have the piece of steel here, which gives a polarity, and you have a piece of steel here, and you have the magnetism here. Now, watch what happens. Give me a second here. Okay, now you see it hanging, suspended. Hanging, suspended. There's nothing holding it up. It is hanging, suspended. Can you see that? Let me get a good angle. Voila. And it's not a trick. This is how magnetism works. And this is a great example that the earth is one, spinning, because the more magnetism you have, it will cause a spin. Now the Quran says it set mountains on the earth lest the earth convulse. So here you see a spin happening because of the magnetic field. But if you don't have those mountains there, this would happen. There will be a shaking of the earth. It wouldn't spin smoothly. So, as we spoke about the mountains earlier in this presentation, mountains are composed, most of them, of ore, iron ore. So when you have iron ore inside of a mountain, within an earth that has a magnetic field, it's going to cause those mountains to move And if the earth is not spinning, then the earth will indeed convulse. So they have mathematical magnetic principles showing you that the earth is indeed spinning because of the magnetic field of the earth. The other simple argument is that, if the earth is, round, that the water would fall off the earth. Not so. When you look at the vast universe, there's no up, no down, no right, no left, except the ones that you make. The universe is round. So we are down to somebody and we are up to somebody. So we are in a downward position to one part of the galaxy and we're upward. The only thing that keeps the water not falling off the earth is really simple. It's called gravity. So it's gravity going downward that keeps the water from spilling off the earth. But your theory, however, says the earth is flat and the water is spinning. What's keeping the water on the earth from spilling off the earth if the earth is flat? So we want you to scientifically prove that spinning water will not spill off the earth. How could that happen? Give us an example, a sound scientific example of how water could spin and not spill off. Especially, you have millions of square miles of ocean. How could that not topple over the wall of the earth, of the end of the earth? Give me a scientific model of that. And last but not least, we talked about the moon being in the same position in the sky. The moon reflects the light of the sun. So what I'm going to do at this moment, I am going to shut some lights off here. And I am going to turn you towards this blackboard here. And just bear with me a second. So this is our planet. Let me cause it to float again. Voila. So there's our planet. And if I turn this light off, I hope you can see the full screen. Here's the sun. And if you look at the board, you would see the shadow. So if this is the moon, you will see a crescent. Then the moon will go dark at a certain point when it's away. But you would not be able to produce this shadow, this circular-like shadow of the earth if the earth was flat. If the earth was flat, you would produce a flat shadow that will look something like, where's this, I'm in the dark here, voila, something like this coaster here, and it would be a flat shadow basically. It would not be the rounded shadow that you see here. So all of this is just common sense proof that the earth is indeed round. So I thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you learned something. And we look forward to seeing the flat earthers show and prove, since they always ask people who believe that the earth is round and spherical to show and prove. Well, we just did, and this is just a few items. We could go much further than what we did, but we'll give the flat earthers a chance to give us some scientific demonstrations of their flat earth theory. Okay, well, thank you. And may Allah continue to guide us and grant us with the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum.